Seems like it's his time to go, not mine. I'm still here.
You had work to do, 15 kids.
This would be a good time for you to tell about the time that Grandma lived with you in Mount Pleasant, and you said she saw children, little children, often.
Yeah, she lay on the couch, was in the room where she slept too, and she said there would be little children come and, you know, and there by the couch where she was laying, and they would come there and play, and then when she's back in her room too, and she said one time while she was outside, she saw there's the Savior, I think it was in the middle, and then there's a circle of, you know, the family, the children all around. The family in the middle of it.
Family, children?
Yeah, you know, the kids and illumination. And he was standing there in the center. I never tell about that.
Okay, thank you.
Is Ada Henrietta Whitney Chandler. Standing next to her is Clarence Chandler, son Clarence Chandler. Behind him is Lita Chandler Aldred. In front of her is Fern Chandler Hanson. Back of her is Gladys Chandler Clifford. And the little boy is Lewis, who passed away when he was 14. Marvin Lewis. He passed away when he was 14 with appendicitis. And then Grandpa Percy George Chandler. I have no idea when this was taken where.
And who's missing in this?
Grandpa Chandler, Percy Chandler, our father and grandfather is missing here.
Where does he fit in the family?
He's the oldest.
So it would have been a big boy then.
Yes.
Okay. And do you have any idea where this was taken?
I have no idea. It either has to be in Weezer or Pine Grove.
Oregon.
Right. Weezer, Idaho or Pine Grove, Oregon.
We don't see anything to identify one way or the other.
No.
Okay?
The one on the left is Louise, Aunt Lita's daughter, and my cousin. We played together so much. And then the taller one is myself.
Who are you?
Maxine Chandler Daniels. And we used to think we were cowgirls, and we would go on the hill. We used to have so much fun.
How old are you there?
I don't know.
Don't we figure 14?
I don't remember how old we was. We used to like to go on the hill and let
Did you have a favorite hill?
when we lived on the Kramer place, that was where, and they, you know, they had these, like, parts, you know, trees and the hills. And then over that biggest hill, it was quite a big hill. And then down below was a ditch. And I remember one day I was standing on the bank of that ditch, just looking in the water, and when I came to my senses, I was standing right in the middle of it. And I'm not ever getting in there or anything.
Was there a name to that ditch?
Yes, it was Monroe Creek.
Now there was a Galloway ditch on the other side of town.
But since we're talking about our childhood here, we had big apricot orchard, and then we had a hill on top of that. And one time we went up there to play. We always played on the hill. Your mother got us kids to
That's
dig.
Mary.
That's Mary. Got us kids to dig this deep hole, and we covered it with gunny sacks, and we took potatoes up there and built a fire in it. I was going to live there, and Mother saw smoke coming out. This is Hazel. Saw smoke coming out of there. Boy, did she ever get up there. We had to fill in the hole. But we wandered over these hills, and past our hill, there was another hill that went down to a ditch, and we had a path that ran across there. And we thought it was really dangerous, and we called it the danger trail. And so we'd go along there and wind our way up to the Galloway ditch, which was filthy dirty, that we swam in. And then on another side of that was hills that we called the Pansy Hill, because in the spring the pansies bloomed profusely, wild pansies. And we would go up and fill our aprons or our skirts or whatever we had full of pansies. And while we were there,
Then what did you do with him?
We took him home, no, we took him home, while we were up there, we had one hill we called the Devil's Backbone, and we would slide down it and wear out our pants. We'd go home with holes in our britches. But, oh, we spent days and hours and hours and hours up there, and then in the spring, before the water came into the Galloway ditch, we'd go up and play house in the ditch. Isn't that nice sandy soil? But then when we got older and your dad's mother started going together, Berkeley and Mary, Berkeley would take us up to the pump house at night and we'd go swimming in that awful ditch.
Was that the Galloway ditch?
Yeah, it was the
Yeah,
Galloway
Dad
ditch.
claims that, that's Berkeley, claims that he built his body because he had a strong body to the day he died, swimming in the Galloway ditch.
He probably did.
And that he swam upstream a lot.
Yeah,
Now, Mother told me, also told me, and the last time I was in Weezer's, I left town, I went out across the roads where I remember when we'd come from Toppenish and Yakima and so forth to go visit Grandmother and Granddad, we'd have to drive along the windy roads along the Snake River. May you remember that? I took a picture of those roads, went out that way, and I could just envision, because Mother told me that they used to swim in the Snake River. Did you ever do that? But I
did.
Maxine did. Okay, they told me it was dangerous, I know.
Treacherous. Yeah.
But you did anyway.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about swimming in the Snake River.
We didn't go out, a long ways. We'd go out in the center of it, but we would go down there and swim as close to the bank, but it was kind of deep, and it was so swift. Oh, it was swift. But I never did get out in the center of it.
Yeah, but even getting out on the sides of a big river like that was quite a challenge.
It was dangerous. Oh, and it reminds me, was you with us, Nita, when you and Louise and I guess Paul and Jack, anyway, a bunch of those kids was out in the park there in Weezer? And the Oregon Trail Park, they called it. And us kids, it was in the spring where the ice hadn't melted, was melting. And we went out on that river, that Snake River, and great big old, we got out on the ice, and this great big huge chunks of ice would break off. And I don't know, us kids were so crazy.
Mother met in the same memory, and you lead from block to block.
Oh,
you're down the Snake River?
yeah, if we,
You're lucky you made it, aren't you?
Oh, boy, no.
Well, that's the definition of a child, one who doesn't understand the consequences of their actions.
But I would just like to say, I didn't know she swam in the Snake River, but I remember when we went back to Weezer 20 years later, I don't think my mother had ever swam between that time, and she got in the swimming pool and swam across the pool.
I didn't swim in the Snake River. I swam every place else, but not the Snake River. I was little. Dennis used to go down there in the wintertime, walk on the ice,
Yeah.
scare mama to death.
Us kids used to about live in the water in the summertime. Oh, we would, that creek, that Monroe Creek, we'd go in there for hours, and in the wintertime we'd skate. Well, we didn't have skates, but
We skipped on our
we,
feet.
slide on. And I remember one thing I had to, when Mom and Dad had cows, she'd, skim the milk off and put in a gallon bucket. And it just had this little fine handle thing on it, And in the summertime it was so hot, and I would have to walk uptown to the creamery.
We all
carry
went
that bucket of, I
I
don't think when I did, and carry that bucket of cream, and then when I got home, or when we got home, we could go swimming.
Well, I think we all went together. Well, when we were kids,
I've never done that.
we had to work, and all the neighbors and our cousins and everything would come over and sit around and wait for us to get the work done before we could go swimming. Remember that? The whole neighborhood came to our house and waited for us to get our work done so we could go swimming. So we'd go up on the hill into the neighbor's pasture. It was McGee's pasture. And there was this great huge tree that had this limb that went out over a ditch and everything. And we played up there for hours and we'd roll in the dirt until we'd get just something. It would run down in the creek and get all cleaned up. We spent hours and hours up there. We really had a good childhood.
Well, it's 1995, and how many people nowadays have memories like that?
And safely. I mean, for a mother to, of course, a mother's probably always worried about children drowning themselves in the ditch, but they didn't worry about anybody coming along and snatching the children.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, I don't know. We had hobos. Remember hobos, Maxine?
I remember
Yeah,
hobos.
I remember.
It was during the Depression, and they had a hobo camp under one of the bridges there, and I'm sure that they passed some words to word about, Mama always fed them, and they would come to the house, and she would feed them outside, and she would make us girls come in the house. She would never let us stay out there, but she and Daddy always fed the hobos that came along. And Mary and I had to deliver milk to Uncle Clarence and Aunt Franca, and we, dumb kids that we were, instead of going by the road, we'd go clear up, back up around the creek. Such dumb little
Go up
kids.
by where the hobos were?
No, I don't think so. But if anybody was going to get us, they would come to us there for sure. I never heard of anybody ever being bothered by those men that came to eat. And they would come and work if you had work for them to do. But I can remember being out and back making mud pies, and Mama calling us in and let us stay out.
Oh, I remember making mud pies.
I remember making mud pies.
Yes, I do.
No, we had a creek, and it was when, I don't know whether it was a Weezer or not,
Yeah, it was.
but down back in that creek, we would go wading, and there were little crawfish in there, and they would bite your toes or whatever if you weren't careful.
Exactly. Those were, I remember those.
I remember standing up and watching them at the bridge. There was a bridge somewhere. I remember watching them crawl up on the
I don't
bridge.
remember the bridge, a bridge watching them crawl up, but I do remember, of course, it was behind our house when we lived on what street? Across from Aunt Lita and Uncle Will.
On Liberty.
On Liberty, that's right.
7th, on 7th.
And that was when we still had the St. Bernard before he got drafted, about the time he got drafted.
That would, you're thinking of Duke, and Duke, the St. Bernard had already been drafted, and Duke was the sheepdog. But Duke is the one, Duke is the one who, I think rescued you, or Larry, or both of you, from the creek. Do you remember that?
No, I don't remember that. There was one that Mother used to put me out in a little buggy in the front yard and protect me. The dog would make sure that nobody ever bothered me.
Oh, hey.
That was
He
the
used to
St.
take,
Bernard.
that dog used to take after your mother when she got after you.
Okay, that was the sheepdog, and Mother didn't know. We lived in that house on 7th and Liberty, or 7th Liberty, whatever. Anyway, Mother started to spank Terry, and the dog was behind the chair. And the dog came around from behind that chair and nipped Mother on the forehead. So she always had to be sure, just nipped her, but let her know that you cannot spank these children. And so when she was going to punish them, she had to be sure the dog wasn't around, because that dog was very protected. But you are remembering the big St. Bernard Birdie, who used to lay by your buggy when she put you out. And I think he lived in one of the big houses over west of the church, you know. Because I can remember that, and he would lie under this sheer curtain in the buggy, and the St. Bernard would be lying right there, and
He wouldn't let the mailman or
he wouldn't let
anybody
anybody
get
get near you, and the bark was like, whoop. So it was just
You're a well-protected child,
And the
Terry.
mud pies we made, we took old bread things,
Mhm.
and we'd whip up the mud and we'd stick it in
I
there,
remember
stick it out
that,
in the sun, dry it.
We used to do that too, and we had a nature club, and we'd go out and get all these flowers and press them and stuff, you know, and one day my mother went up in there, our room, thanking Mary and I slept in the same room. She kept smelling something and she couldn't figure out what it was. Mary and I had a couple of lizards up there that we dried.
But you know, we ought to put more pictures up than we still.
There's
childhood.
Many farms.
That's Maxine is the cowgirl again. Who's the little boy with you, Mom?
I don't think she knew. I don't think she knew who it was, but this is Maxine as a cowboy.
Okay.
Where did I get off the chair?
Just another one of those.
Get up here.
Her playing cowgirl again, only not with
You
Louise
know, I
this
have a
time.
picture of myself, and the man on the left, the boy on the left, is Asa Berkeley Compton, Terry's father, my father, and Marcel's father, and 12 other children. I mean, we're all 12 children. And the wonderful, nice guy on the right is Wallace.
Chandler.
Wallace Chandler with his curly hair, and Wallace, Daddy and Wallace, I don't know how well they got along as brother-in-law, but they had some qualities in common, I think, that I remember as a child. It's a great sense of humor. Daddy was athletic. He was a great bowler. In fact, he was a champion bowler. Daddy liked to do just about anything physical as well as mental. And he had a great sense of humor, was a prankster and so on. And Wallace had a great sense of humor. They both had delightful giggles. Daddy didn't giggle very often, but when he did, it was wonderful. But I remember Wallace had a wonderful bubbly laugh, and Marcel can actually hear his laugh. I can't quite. But on those Sunday afternoons when we would go to grandmother and grandfather's house for dinner, which were always just wonderful, I do remember eating outside on the front lawn, and probably the rest of you remember too, so pitch in, and sailing paper plates across the lawn, as sort of frisbees. But I can remember Wallace walking on his hands across the lawn and doing athletics for us and throwing us in the air and swinging us around. Our uncles and our dad, that would be Kenneth and Robert and Wallace, and our aunt, I can remember them sitting on a blanket, Betty with her long red black fingernails, and she was so gorgeous. We thought she was such a beautiful lady. And all of us cousins, basically, would have included Larry and Elaine, Larry and Elaine and Anne and Darlene and Gloria and Vivian and me and Marcel and who am I leaving out? Vicky, Judy, little Vicky was a baby, that gorgeous baby with the golden curls. And anyway, and poor grandmother. Well, I mean, I just now being a grandma, she did probably most of the cooking, and she was a fantastic cook. But anyway, so that's probably on a day when after church they're inside and probably on a Sunday afternoon, don't you think?
Do you remember the ball game over at the school?
No.
We were playing baseball, and I was up to bat. And I got up to bat, and I swung and I hit the ball. And we were so excited, everybody was screaming, run and run, and I was running so hard, and Wallace was at second base. And he picked me up, and he carried me all the way home.
That's a great memory of him.
These are the trees you kids were looking for a while ago. Grandma had cut down.
Yes.
Yeah, these are the trees that covered the house on East Main Street. 903 East Main Street. That when you see the house now now here, you can only see the trees that's covering the whole house. And when you see the house bare without the trees, you just can't believe the contrast.
This is in front of the old house on Main Street, and this is Nita on the left. Kenneth's next to me, Percy, our dad, next to him, and Maxine is on the right.
Maxine, your hair is dark there.
I know, I was thinking about how dark my hair was.
Beautiful.
How did you get dark?
Pretty. Look at those cheekbones.
Maxine had the most beautiful auburn hair,
That's what I
and the only hair I've ever seen more beautiful was Darlene's daughter, Tammy. Or Darlene, I mean, not Tammy, Darlene.
But Danny does auburn hair too.
Oh, but yours was so gorgeous.
You know, Daddy used to tell me that I had the most beautiful hair in town.
And my father, Daniels, told me that one of the reasons he fell in love with my mother was because of her gorgeous hair.
Look at it now.
It's still beautiful. It's still beautiful, just a different color.
Doesn't think like it was,
The Compton Daniels Weezer Gang.
Yes.
Part of it.
This is the side of the house where the big trees were. I mean, I can remember where they propped us up often for these photos. Was the side of the house that was not facing the main street, but facing that little street that ran by the school.
That was nice.
Nice, the big trees. Anyway, there we are, probably Sunday afternoon after church, don't you suppose?
Okay, why don't we go through and point out who these people are. This is Marcel, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And this would be Camellia here.
Compton.
And then this would be Anne. And then this would be
Gloria. And
Gloria.
let me tell you
And this would be
Darlene.
Darlene.
about, this is Gloria, right out front in my little dark blue crochet dress that my grandma Daniels from Mount Pleasant had made and sent me. And I had never yet met her. But I think she crocheted one of those for each of us girls.
Oh.
I probably did, but I haven't never.
Thanks for putting a petticoat on under that.
This is Marcel. Well, the occasion was we were at Wallace's and Betty's house, and Anne was there, and all the people you see here were there. We were visiting Wallace and Betty, and I think they lived in Nampa at the time, but I'm not positive about that. But in any case, Marcel's on the left, Mother's right next to her.
Wait a minute, Queen.
Sorry.
Okay.
I think Mother's holding, I think it was probably Jay, Jay's little face. Grandma is right next to Mother,
Yes, she is.
and I think Ann,
Let me do that.
that's Ann with her hand in front of her eyes.
I think the sun was shining
Yeah.
brightly.
Everybody seems to be squinting. And Wallace is right next to Ann, and there's Betty, right there. And Grandpa is on over, and Kenneth. And then coming down, this is where I'm going to have more problems. I think this is Vicky with her hand over her face.
Wait.
Right there. Now who's next to Vicky?
I thought, oh, that's Vicky?
Well, I think so. Who's next to Vicky?
That could be her sister,
Okay.
would be Judy.
Okay, and then just below looks like Afton to me. And I think this is Nancy. And who would this be?
Teddy?
Is that Teddy? Kind of looks like Teddy, doesn't it? Elaine, where are you? No, but I think maybe Teddy is.
Who's this child?
Don't know. Who are these two children?
Wallace's kid?
They may be Wallace's kids. Can you see?
Name. Well, we're not. Anytime.
I think those might be Wallace's kids. I'm not sure, but I think this is Teddy. Linda's probably in there.
Teddy
someplace.
Chandler.
It's Teddy Chandler, and I don't know who. That might be one of Wallace's kids.
Did you say who this child is?
I think that's Nancy.
Oh,
Nancy
yeah.
Compton.
Yes.
This looks like Nancy Compton, and this looks like probably Jay, because she was a bit younger. So anyway, that was that wonderful summer that we had such a good time.
That's probably one of the happiest, summers in my whole life that I
Right.
remember.
We had,
I was kind of tagged along.
that was the summer of 19. That was the summer of 1963. Two. And Mother had something I didn't know. Mother had just had a miscarriage and really wasn't feeling very well.
Then she and I had just had polio.
So we were living in Yakima at the time.
We were living in Yakima.
Yeah, and Annette was born in 53.
Right, and I had just met Carmen, my husband. Well, actually, I had just started to date him. I had met him when I was 12, but anyway. But we had such a good time with the boys of the National Guard, the Idaho National Guard, who lived in...
Forget Carmen, we got boys.
We had a lot of fun. We danced, and we sang in the Mormon Oratorio that summer. And I just got so choked up singing because of the voices around me. We had a wonderful conductor. I can't remember his name, but he was so full of life, and he just made us all sound like we were wonderful. But Carol and Carol and Louise, maybe? Remember they sang the obligato?
Yes.
At the top for not my cousin, let's see.
America the Beautiful.
America the Beautiful.
And I still to this day cannot sing that song without crying. I cannot get through all of it. Elaine was there. She sang with us.
Yes.
I remember anything.
And didn't we, well, you weren't there, Anita.
I know what she can.
Oh, she can't remember.
Elaine was there that summer, and Larry, and all those fun boys.
And I've got pictures of all of them.
It was like a boy crazy summer.
Yes, we were all boy crazy. And that, I had never been kissed before I was 16, and I got my first kiss in the car with that boy that I didn't like. And he had made a bet with everybody. And everybody was all around the car, and I didn't know that, but he put his arms around the back of the seat, and he went like that, telling all those guys, yeah, she got a kiss from me.
But it was a wonderful time with our grandmother and grandfather, and in their home. For me, it was like a homecoming because we had moved away when I was in the third grade, and this was the most extended period of time that I had there after that, and I suppose Anne too.
Well, I don't understand, where was I during the summer?
Where were you, Terry? You're not in there, are you?
No, I'm not in there, and I don't remember specifically spending any extended period of time a week.
And Bruce isn't
You
here
weren't.
either.
It was just her and Ann and me.
I guess I wasn't there.
I think Mother, well see, I wasn't there for the summer. I was only there for like maybe 2 weeks, and Mother...
I don't remember spending even 2 weeks there at that time of our life.
I don't know where you were.
Okay.
I think we farmed you out.
I stayed, but the family wasn't there.
Mother was there.
The whole time?
No, maybe Mother wasn't there the whole time. Maybe she just was there briefly.
Okay, so apparently you girls
You're right.
went and spent a little time there, and
Yeah, we did.
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
This is Kenneth.
Most, very right here.
Oh.
That's what her daughter. I was about a sophomore, so I know that dress. Get up there where they can hear you.
I don't remember the occasion. I
You
don't
can
know
tell
what
us who the people are.
No.
I'll point. This is my dad. This is my brother Larry. That's my mom. That's me. That's Grandma. That's Nita. And I don't know, that must be Linda. Yeah. Their hair picture.
So this is the Kenneth Chandler family with grandmother Chandler, Hazel Hovey.
After some of their house. I don't know where it was. Like I said, I don't remember the occasion. It seems to me always the grandmother, I mean, when we see a sidewalk running this way with the trees, I always just...
Yeah, that looks like it is Grandma's house, all right. Grandma Chandler. Why would say Grandma's house? Isn't it? If my grandkids want to go to Grandma's, they don't want to go to Grandpa's.
They always say Grandma's house. My grandkids say that too. I want to go to Grandma's house.
Us men just make the money, but we don't get any accolades for that. You recognize
No,
anybody in that
that's my
picture?
dad, my mother. And that's Larry. I think that's Linda, and that looks like Nita.
Nita.
I'm not there.
Okay, so this is Kenneth Chandler, and your mother, what was her name?
Lucille,
Lucille Chandler.
and Larry Chandler, and Linda Chandler, and I think that's Nita.
That is Nita. I remember the dress.
Okay.
I remember that 21-inch
And
waist.
I have no idea where it's at.
It's At Home, September 1951. Now, I don't know whose home this refers to. Whose album is this out of?
That's out of mine.
That's out of yours? Whose home was it? What is the name?
Kenneth and Lucille.
Oh, At Their Home. Okay. At Their Home.
That's my mother and father, Lucille Sherman and Chandler, and my dad, Kenneth, Chrissy Kenneth Chandler.
And you're Elaine Chandler of what?
Kaiser.
Elaine Chandler Kaiser. Okay. And this was your dad's balding. How? Have you got any idea? What does it say? It doesn't
Oh, it
say.
looks like maybe the 40s or,
Was he balding that soon?
yeah, he didn't have hair very long.
But he didn't have very long hair. He didn't have...
That's my father, Chrissy Kenneth Chandler. He loved to fish, and we used to laugh at him because he'd drag us up Man's Creek or someplace, and he'd always get his fishing pole and his line caught in his bushes, and never caught anything usually.
You
He
know.
was pretty proud of that one.
Oh, yeah. If you look, I didn't notice that there was a fish he was holding, but there is, isn't there?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I guess, did he and my dad ever go fishing together? Because my dad, when he was younger, loved to fish.
I don't know, I don't think so.
But Dad gave it up after he got out of the Scouts, I guess, and didn't do it anymore after that.
He used to wear this old fishing net, and had all these different flies and stuff stuck in it.
Here he is.
That one's Chrissy Kenneth Chandler, my father. I don't know what the deal is about that one. Looks like that was before I was born.
It looks to me like he has a toupee on.
No.
He has beautiful curly hair.
Beautiful wavy, curly hair.
Okay, so we'll show a picture next of not that many years later when he apparently lost it all. I don't know why we've gotten concentrating on his hair. We just wanted to verify that before Kenneth was very old, that he had actually lost a lot of his hair. There's these young kids and he's already lost his hair. So we got that settled. Okay, Elaine? Anything
I
else?
think he's probably 30, or by the time he's 30, I think he started losing his hair.
Okay, who's in the picture there?
Okay, I'm at the bottom there, the picture, and that's Larry.
Okay.
He's holding Larry.
Now where does Larry live nowadays?
He's in Ohio,
he?
Berry, Ohio.
Okay.
That's Percy Kenneth Chandler, my dad, and that was probably taken up at Mansbridge or somewhere. We went camping. Anyway, he was showing off his prowess. His manhood.
Oh, God, he's manhood.
His manliness, yes. My dad was always a very fussy dresser. He had to have everything just so. And he always looked just really super in his clothes. Well,
Somebody point out those people to her, Debbie, tell you who they are.
The top, is that Ann?
Keep
That
it real
is
close
from
to the
left,
paper so that it doesn't
and,
focus the camera.
Darling.
Darling, I can't see him very well.
Gloria.
Here you
Gloria and Leroy,
Judith.
and Judith and Daniel, my husband, and myself, and David, and Glenadine, and Vivian, and Mary. Oh, I said I can Mary. And that's Paul, Ralph. He didn't like his picture.
That was Bernadine over there. That was Marion. That's Marion. That's Bernadine. That's Marion.
Isn't that Sullivan?
This picture was taken
Yeah,
at
that's
Christmas
right.
time. I had gone away from home. I was living in Portland, Oregon, and I had come home for Christmas. And this was in probably 1955. And that was the picture we had taken. The Christmas tree you can barely see over there.
No, that's, I didn't say, is that
That's
Glenadine?
Glenadine.
Glenadine, I didn't say Glenadine.
Well, I should say that's a major accomplishment
That's
to remember our 15 kids.
Dan Daniels and Maxine Chandler Daniels' family. And this occasion where all the family was together, this is 14 of the 15 children they had, as our brother David had passed away years ago with leukemia. This was the 50th wedding anniversary party. That would have been in 1984. Let's start at the top and I'll name who all. By the way, the photographer that took the pictures didn't do a good job because the shadows in the back of their head looked like all these boys had really long hair, which they didn't. This is Dan Leroy. This is Paul, Dean, Bernadine, one of the twins, Ralph, Brent, and then Sharon, Darlene, Ann, Glenadine, the other twin, Vivian, Marion, and Gloria, and there's Daddy, and Mother, and Judith.
Well, Chandler, when she was about 13 years of age, and we lived over on East Park Street
In Weezer?
in Weezer.
Okay, are the hills behind there any of the hills you all used to play in?
Yeah,
Or?
these are the hills we used to run around on, play around on all the time, and I think that was the neighbor's barn out in back. She was kind of a real cute, special little gal.
You have any idea what the occasion was here on 13,
No, I have
having
no
a picture
idea.
taken?
I have no idea. It was amazing. If we ever had anything like that.
Okay.
Chandler holding our little brother, Arthur Bruce Chandler, and we named him, we want to name him ABC, that's why the Arthur Bruce. This is the old place on East Park Street. That's the hill behind us where we went sleigh riding. Those are peach trees behind us. This is part of our childhood.
And so Mother said that she did help to raise her younger brothers and sisters, and apparently this is part of that.
What do you mean help to raise them? We all raised each other.
You're the youngest one, Nita. You got raised by everybody else.
No. Nobody raised me, can't you tell?
We lived in, when Mother had this taken, we lived in Grandmother Compton's house on what street? I think it was 3rd or 2nd Street.
Yeah.
And Mother is Mary Nola Compton and I'm Camellia. But Mother had it taken so she could send it to Daddy, who was in the service. Mother had 5 children then, but she told me that the photographer told her when she had this picture taken that she had $1 million smile.
Well,
It's too bad that she didn't do something with that. That would have made things financially better. But look at her darling face. And of course, she was probably about 27, 28.
okay.
Because I remember her age when I...
And if you look down here, you can see the message to her husband who was in the military. Your loving wife, Mary. Okay. It seems as we have a reluctant pair here to talk. Nobody wants to hog it, so I'll hog it. This is Dad, Berkeley Compton, and Mother, Mary Compton. And maybe you could contribute some color to this photograph.
Well, I was going to say it's Weezer, but I can't recognize, you know, it doesn't look like Weezer. But Mother was wearing the glasses that I don't really remember that much. Weren't they a darling couple? Daddy was wearing a bow tie, and he became famous in the Toppenish ward for wearing bow ties. In fact, my husband Carmen bought his first bow tie because my father wore a bow tie, and he idolized Daddy for quite a long time. But he looks way too young for Toppenish, so I don't know. Where do you think it is, Nita?
I have no idea.
Those shoes. This looks like a Weezer picture.
Yeah, we concluded I think it was Weezer.
And if you look at the next little photograph of Mother taking photos of the kids, I think she's wearing the same dress.
Marcel?
This is a picture of part of it. Camellia, this is you over here.
I know, but I didn't live with you then.
Camelia's on the far left, holding baby Annette or Chad. Where's Chad? No, that's Jay and Nancy.
That's Jay, and that's Nancy.
Okay, well that does look like a girl, I guess, so it must be, she wasn't that young in Yakima. Nope, I made this dress in Spokane.
Yeah, this is not long after we moved to Spokane. We first moved to Opportunity, which is out of ways. And I remember that Dad went there, and he bought a house as a surprise for Mother, and wanted to surprise her a nice home. And Mother was really upset because she didn't get to help pick it.
Well, she didn't get to pick the furniture.
Oh, okay, the furniture, whatever it was. But it was a little disturbing to her that Dad, he wanted to make a nice gift out of it, and she was concerned that she hadn't participated in it. But anyway, we have concluded that this is Camellia. This is myself, Terry. This is our father, Ace of Berkeley. This is Bruce. This is Afton right there, and that's our mother, Mary. That's Marcel. And as we get a little littler, we are a little less certain, but that's whom?
Nancy.
Nancy. This must be Jay. And so this must be
Annette. But
Annette.
Chad is missing. What's Chad is?
Chad was...
Probably not born yet.
Yeah.
He was born in
Chad was little when we lived in Columbia. And so he was born I don't know exactly.
He was born in Spokane.
Yeah.
When we lived in... The new house didn't last long. Then we moved to this other house.
Okay.
Much less long.
Money?
It's the last of 1955 and the first of 1956. Actually, it was we moved during the Christmas and New Year's holidays. We actually boarded an airplane and flew from Spokane to Columbia, South Carolina. In those days, they called the four-engine airplanes that flew high stratosphere airplanes. They thought they flew up in the stratosphere. Anyway, I remember that we left Spokane. It was cold, and Spokane always was. Spokane wasn't unusual to be 20 below zero in November. But we left Spokane, and we flew into Minneapolis, St. Paul, I believe, the airport, and then maybe landed to one or another airport somewhere along the way. When we got to Columbia, we expected to be the tropical South. But, you see, it was wintertime, and the difference there was that they had so much humidity that even though the thermometer read that it wasn't very cold, it was cool in Columbia, South Carolina. We moved to a place in Casey, South Carolina, which was across the river from Columbia. And it was just a suburb of Columbia, but there was the Congaree River there. And we had a two-story home, and they tell me that this picture was taken in Casey. And so who we have here is Bruce, and then we have Jay, and then we have Chad, and then we have Afton, and Nancy, and Annette. And I have no idea where I am. Or I guess Camille and Marcel are both married at that time, so they wouldn't have been there, but I was somewhere around, but not in that picture.
Yeah, you were on your mission.
No, I wasn't on the mission at when we lived in Casey.
in high school.
I was around. I don't know what happened.
You were at high school.
But anyway, that's fine.
This is one of those Sunday afternoon picnics, I suspect, on the front lawn, and
Of grandmother and grandfather Chandler, first in Hazel.
903 East Main Street. And this is Mother, and Mother Mary Compton, excuse me. And this would be Darlene Daniels, Ann Daniels, oh, I'm sorry, Terry Compton, Marcel Compton, Gloria Daniels, Cornelia Compton. We think the babies are, we think this was probably, this may be Bruce Compton, this would have been Vicky Compton over here. Vicky Chandler, Wallace's daughter, and this would have been Maxine's little baby, Vivian.
There you go.
And now we have
And the other thing you'll notice is the little dark spot right here underneath the tree. The tree was growing right over the area where the irrigation water ran. And so I think the irrigation water ran underneath there. We must be plopped right along beside the irrigation
Are you sure that's
channel.
not just a shadow?
No, is that Mother's shadow?
Mother would be falling in.
Yeah, I think.
Well, I do. In any case, I do remember that one of the trees was growing in its trunk, and everything was getting in the irrigation ditch, and it was splitting the sidewalk as well. So that could be a shadow. But
Yeah, I think that might be a shadow.
okay.
Okay, Marcel, you have to do this one. Come, I don't talk back on film.
That looks like Betty Wallace's wife, is that right?
Right.
And the baby is one of her kids, Vicky. And then mother is Mary Chandler Compton is there, and Bruce is the baby, and Aunt Maxine is next, and the baby she holds is Vivian.
So we have 3 mothers, each of which had a few children at that time, who are there together at grandmother and grandfather Chandler, Hazel and Percy Chandler's house. And I guess they're all proud mothers at this point. Little do they know the trials to come.
Amen. Little Chandler's kids. Maxine is on the left, Mary is ex-Maxine, and then dear mother, and then Nita on the end.
Isn't that a wonderful picture?
On a Sunday afternoon.
Yes.
Can you remember this specifically, Nita?
Yes, I remember this specifically.
Can you tell us any more about it?
Well, we were there. I mean, the whole family was gathered around. This is when all these pictures were taken, and there was a lot more taken too. It was hard to get the family together to get pictures, but I remember specifically standing out in front and coaxing mother to come and have her picture taken.
Yeah, she's not in many of our pictures.
She's not. She was kind of shy, like Darlene and Gloria.
I wish her face were more clear. The other faces are clearer. Can you zoom in on the faces right now and make those clearer?
Well, I don't know about making them clearer. I can zoom in on them, but I'm going to turn off the camera to zoom in first because it'll be jerky. Well, we just now did a close-up that Camilla wanted to see. I don't know how much closer we can get. We're practically got the lens eating the picture.
Yeah, well, I photographed it like this, though.
And we'll zoom in a little bit until it goes out of focus so that it's already going out of focus. So we're about at the limits of what we can do here.
That's when I had a 21-inch waist.
What you have to remember is that this is an extremely small picture to start with.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're really zoomed in like big time.
Well, is there another picture alive like that?
Okay. This is a picture, and I don't know, Nita, do you know where this was taken? Does Willow Tree give you a clue?
I don't remember who had a willow tree.
Who's this guy here?
Did you guys have a willow tree?
That's Larry Chandler.
Larry Chandler? Okay. Well, anyway, this is Larry Chandler. This is Bruce Compton, my brother. This is me, Terry Compton. And who is this person?
Rick Chandler.
That's Rick Chandler. Okay. And I'm going to guess it was in Weezer, but I don't know that for a fact.
It would have had to have been in Weezer to have all of you in there.
And I'm going to guess that it's in the Chandler's area that they had a willow tree. Is Elaine in there?
She said they never had one.
Elaine, did you have a willow tree?
No.
Do you know where this willow tree came from?
You know what? I think it's Grandma Compton's front yard when Daddy was in service. When we were living there.
Well, maybe.
Well, it's the only willow tree in my memory.
old.
Yeah, we're old, man. We weren't, at least it wasn't at the time of the war. We were,
Okay. Then I'm
I
wrong.
think we had one in that, mobile,
This is the summer of 1952, I guess it was, when Ann lived with Grandma and Grandpa, and we came to visit. That is the Compton little group. And so from left to right is Marcille Compton and Camellia Compton without her glasses, so she looks very myopic, and Elaine Chandler. And the bottom row we have Vicki Chandler, and that looks like Vivian, yes. Isn't she cute? Vivian Chandler and Daniels, excuse me, and Linda Chandler, right?
Vivian,
Linda, the daughter of Kenneth and Lucille.
Right, and that's Elaine's sister.
Right, Elaine's sister.
Right.
Right.
I would imagine it's in the front yard, though this looks like maybe it was...
Whose front yard?
That would be Grandma and Grandpa's, except I don't recognize the house across the street.
Yeah, I don't recognize that as their front yard.
Anyway, there you go.
Okay.
Well, I don't know the year, but we lived on Butterfield. The Comptons lived on Butterfield, Berkeley and Mary. And Robert came to visit while he was home from the service for a while. He was on furlough. And he is holding Bruce in his arms. He was a baby then. Here, this would have been Marcille on the left, and Terry and Camellia, who had been doing dress-up.
Now this looks like it might be in back of grandmother and grandfather.
It's in our front yard in
Butterfield. I see. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
This is at the wedding reception of Alden Compton and Kathleen. And this is a picture of all of his sisters, and 3 boys are missing. Chad is on the far left. Nancy is next to him. Our youngest in the family of 12 is Loretta right there. Then Afton, and here's Alden, Marcille, Camellia, Annette, and Jake.
Good deal.
Well, I think that all of us thought in our growing up years that Nita was just about the most glamorous and beautiful person. And she was always so good to us as children. She always made us feel so loved, and she was so much fun. And this is her, and I'll let you let her pick up on where it really looks like out in the country. So how old and stuff.
I was about 11 here. This is over on our old homestead over on Park Street. And behind us, as I said in Mary's picture, the hills and the fruit trees and fences and pastures and cornfields. The whole thing. We were little orphans.
No, you don't look like one.
Maren looked much better than I did. Mary. Yeah, I can't see my face. It looks like a black lady. But I'm holding Robert, and this is the old place out over on Park Street. This is when Robert was a baby.
Now, tell me about the place on Park Street.
Maybe it was Bruce. Maybe it was Bruce.
I don't know about Park Street. Where was
Park Street? Was by the mill ditch. There was a mill ditch that ran right through our place. And this is where we had a big hill in back of us. We used to sleigh ride down that, and all the neighborhood kids came, and we had one sled, and Kenneth would get on the sled, and Mary and I'd get on his back, and zoom down that hill as fast as we could go. Other than that, we used dish pans, and went round and round and round down the hill, and put on our pants and our feet or whatever we had. I'm sure this is Bruce in this picture with me. This is where we spent our childhood.
Okay, you lived there just before you moved to East Main Street?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And what did Grandpa do when you lived there?
He sold a farm journal. Grandma sorted apples in the fall and worked for cleaned house for some of the people in town, and that's what Daddy did. That's all I remember.
Oh, wasn't he Johnny there for some time?
He was John Drill at the school. They called him a custodian.
Throughout his time.
He was custodian at the school, but I don't remember when he started there, but I do know that he sold Farm and Journal and was gone a lot.
Now, was the Farm Journal, was that a politically oriented...
That was just a farm magazine for farmers.
I know, but you know, the farmers exercised a lot of political muscle in those days.
It probably was, but Daddy was gone long. Paid $80 a month.
$80 a month for doing the Farm Journal? That sounds pretty good for those days.
Well, there was a big family there to feed.
Yeah, but I mean, still, that's
Mama
not bad.
We all canned, we dried, we had our own beef, our own pigs, our own chickens. We raised all of our own garden, all of our own fruit, or we would have never made it.
Our own milk,
Yeah,
butter.
everything. didn't get married till I was really late, and I used to beg my sisters to let me have a child. They had so many.
Which one did you want?
All of you. All of
Okay,
you. So
so-
whenever I was home, I always went and got my nieces and nephews, and this is me holding Bruce, Terry. I've got the whole Camille's hand over here, and little Larry's on the other side of me.
I think that's Marcel.
Is this Marcel? Okay.
Okay, and were you in the WAC at that time?
Yes. No, it was just before I went in the wax, because I remember wearing that suit in Tacoma.
Okay, and for those who are watching this, the WAC was the Women's Air Corps?
Women's Army Corps.
Women's Army Corps. And you were a nurse during the war?
No, I was worked in the office.
Worked in the office. Okay. And this would have been in Weezer then.
This was in Weaver at home.
Was this on East Main Street then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was.
You know, there was a little store down the street from this a little ways.
Yes.
We had a little store that kids used to go to buy
What was the
candy.
name of it? They
I
know.
don't know.
Well,
It's boarded up now. Last time I was there, it was all boarded
oh,
up.
yeah, you went down on the main street, didn't you?
Yeah.
And it was Lowell Bostic,
Yeah,
it was Lowell's farmer. His granddad had the one with the little red store up above us. This
Yeah.
is down below.
But anyway, there was a store that wasn't that far away from grandmother and granddad's house that we'd go to when we was kids and buy little treats whenever we had a few pennies.
I went there too when I finished go.
In Tacoma, Kenneth and Lucille had gone up. It was during the war, and they had gone up to live. And I didn't want to be left home alone, so I'd gone to Tacoma to live too. And this was taken up there just before the war.
Kenneth and Lucille lived in Tacoma?
Yes.
I
We worked
see.
at the bus station.
Okay, and this is just before the war, so we've been 40 or 39?
No, it was around,
I don't believe
it was around 41.
Well, we were in the war by then. Well, December 6th,
yeah.
1941.
It was 1942.
Okay, 1942? Okay, it was right around the time we started the war. Okay.
Sergeant Orlita Hazel Chandler. A915338. Army Air Corps, Army WAC. We were known as WAC, WAC.
Women's Army Corps.
Women's Army Corps, and then it was changed to Women's, just the Army Air Corps. But this was me.
Where did you serve, Nita?
I took my training in Georgia and Texas, and then I was down in Medford. And
Oregon?
Spokane. Yes.
Oh, you served in Spokane during the war?
Yes.
You didn't know we were going to move there later, did you?
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Okay.
You might have guessed they moved everywhere else.
Chandler, I don't remember when the picture was taken. Probably somewhere around graduation.
Well, you certainly are cute there.
Thank you very much.
Yep, you look really nice. So we must forget the best time.
That's right. Look at you. Rita and her first husband, Kenneth Wayne Erickson, we were at the beach. We had some good times. We had some bad times.
Left is Dad, Bertha Thompson. Next to him is Marcel. And next to her, who's that head?
That's you.
Oh, that other
Yeah,
head.
Amelia.
Mother.
This is Mother, that's me.
Okay, Marcel, is that mother?
No, this is this.
Oh, who's this right here?
Nita, are you there?
No.
Yeah, that's you.
That's
This is me.
Marcel, Nita, Camellia, mother, Bruce, and that would be...
Aston.
No.
that's...
That's
what it says.
No,
It
it's
looks
a
like
boy,
boy.
so it's Jay. Must be Jay. The little boy down there on the edge. And again, I'm missing. I must have run away all the time.
We were taking the picture. And Annette's not in there either.
Yeah, this...
I remember that dress you have on.
Anyway, it's obvious that when they called, we didn't all answer.
Yes.
Okay.
Seems to be Nita Chandler and Tim Erickson and our brand new Ford car. We were proud of that. I think we sat up all night and looked out the window at it.
What year is it?
It must have been a 53, something like that. 51.
That is a cute picture.
My daughter Linda Jensen. This is Peter's wife Paula, and Peter is back here. This is Mother Nita, and this is Jeff's first wife Dee, and that's my son Jeff. I have them all up and down, up and down.
Marin,
She opens.
Marin is, was she?
I don't know where Marin was.
Okay. So let me put that right back in the right.
Son Peter Grafton Erickson and Jeffrey Wayne Erickson. Jeff 6'5", about 3.5 to 4, and Peter's about 5'8".
How'd you do that?
Adopted them.
Oh, are they both adopted?
All of them are.
All of them. You don't have any children of your own?
Yes, they are mine, very much.
No, I mean, but by birth.
He never delivered any.
Okay, you never delivered any.
It's my son Peter, and standing is our adopted 50-year-old daughter that we adopted when she was 50, Denise. We got her when she was 12, and it took us that long. She called me one day and said, "Mother, 38 years is too long for anybody to be in labor. I'm coming home to be adopted." This is her husband, Tony Merrill, who used to play with the big band.
Oh, really?
Yes. He's 6 months older than I am, but he calls and says, "Hi, Mom, this is your son." My daughter, Marin, who's been the joy of my life after the rest of them were gone. Her husband, Ronnie Sweeter, and the tallest blonde is mine. My Bonnie and little Aaron and Jessie.
Okay, and
These
then
are my kids.
these are your kids? Okay.
Yeah, this big-headed one is my beloved husband, Peter Jensen, and I'm standing in front. Back is Jim Nixon, our son-in-law, and Gina is the one next to me. Gina's never been legally ours, but she claims this, and Jim claims this, and he's a big 6'5" guy too. And it's nice to have these big fellows call and say, "Hi, Mom." But this is my sweetie.
So this is, what was this?
That's Pete.
That's Pete, and that's you,
That's me.
and that's
That's Gina
Gina and
and Jim.
Jim.
How's Gina his daughter?
Gina's his wife.
No, Pete.
No, she's not anybody's daughter. In the park in Weezer, the girl standing is Lynn Chandler, Uncle Clarence's daughter, and the lady right behind her is our mother, Hazel Chandler. Robert Chandler with his first baby boy, whom they named Robert, and we called him Robbie, and he was a beautiful little boy. Proud daddy, I'll tell you. One time they came by and picked up Mother and took her for a ride and left Bobby with me. And somebody came by and took me for a ride. They came home and I wasn't there, their baby wasn't there. They were ready to call the police. They were scared to death I'd run off with their baby. But then I came home and man, did I ever get it.
Now, it looks like there's snow out there.
Yes, just winter time.
And where would this be?
In Weezer, this is I think it was it was Weezer out in the country. They lived out on the flat. And I don't know if that was where Robert was born or not, but this was in Weezer, I'm sure.
Where is the flat?
This is out on Butterfield again, the day that Robert came home on furlough. Well, I mean, he came to visit us while he was on furlough. And this is Daddy, Berkeley Compton, and Robert, and our dog, Duke, who was a sheepdog. And I'm struck with how incredibly young they both look, but Robert looks like a kid. To think that he was out there on a submarine seems hard to...
Oh, was he on submarine
No,
duty?
he was in the Marines.
He was in
he
the
told
Marines?
me he was on a sinking tub about to land in Japan when they dropped the
Yeah,
bomb.
he was that.
And those were his words, I was on a sinking tub. So,
He was that.
Well-
and I thought it was a submarine. Was I wrong? Was it a battleship?
I don't know, but I do remember he told, he was in one movie that was made about Guadalcanal.
I do know that.
He was standing, and I remember the movie because I tried to look for him. You know, it was in those early days, but it was a war picture, but he was one of the extras in this crowd of real Marines.